Good Friday afternoon or evening, wherever you might be.
Hey,
We're here. Actually, let me double check something since we.
are you going to double check whether I'm really here?
Well, I'm checking to see if your mic was fine. It sounded like it was fine, but it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, by the way. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor, and we are the host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, we do this show called DevOps Paradox Live, where we talk about things and news of the past week or two.
Yeah,
So that's where
that's
we're
the
at.
game.
Yeah. It's been a quiet week, right? I'm going to say it's been a quiet week.
I think it was a quiet week. At least
Yeah.
nobody bombed me with news, but you have a tendency to find things that nobody does.
Yeah. Tamam, good to see you. Karan, Racine, and Maz. Good to see everybody here live with us today. Thanks for showing up live. Let's just get it right into it, because I've got calls coming up at the top of the next hour that I have to get to. The interesting thing here is this week's episode was with our friend Aaron about finding jobs and if you should use a recruiter or not. Short answer is you probably should. No reason not to, right? In this world. If you are interested, if you haven't listened to the episode, please do listen to the episode. If you are interested in looking for a new role, if you're thinking, I might want to just go check it out, I highly recommend you contact Aaron. And in the show notes of this episode is all of Aaron's contact information. Conversely, if you are a company trying to find people, I know that is not happening right now. There's just a glut of people on the market, right? It's not true.
I'm yet to meet a company that is not in constant hiring for at least a year or two.
Yeah. So if you're a company trying and you're having problems, Erin is not a staffing person. She is like a straight up recruiter. And if you're a small company and you just don't have it in-house and you've been to, look, go talk to Erin. It's a big deal. Chris, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out today. Andreas and Javaden. Happy Friday to everyone. So, if you haven't listened to this, listen to it. If you're looking for a job, I just recommend you reach out to Erin, and she'll tell you, what's going on. Okay, so I had a bad experience with recruiters. I don't like them. I agree. I understand that. But I bet that recruiter you were talking to was not a recruiter. I bet they were a staffing person. Right? Victor, if you're talking, you're muted.
Yeah, staffing person or recruiter, doesn't matter what people call it themselves, but I think that there's simply too many spammers right now, right? The people who go to LinkedIn pay premium so they can search and then send email to everybody who has word DevOps or Java anywhere. I getting constant offers to work on Java projects, and I haven't touched Java in years. Not that there is anything wrong with Java. I'm not going there right now, but I haven't touched it in many, many years. And anybody who spent more than 5 minutes in my profile would know that. So those people should disappear.
Yeah. Again, Erin is not your typical recruiter. So if you're looking for something, I would say reach out to her.
And I think that this is, I don't think we mentioned there, but this is very valuable lesson, I think, for companies themselves. There is a very high chance that if company approaches that way of hiring people, kind of like, hey, massive email to everybody who has word DevOps in LinkedIn, there is a strong chance that actually I will have such a negative opinion about that company that they might be great for all I know, but I will not work for them.
Just because they mass sent instead of targeting you as
because they annoy me. Yeah. It's horrible what I'm saying, but they literally annoy me. Kind of like I cannot stand. I'm ignoring messages for a while now, and as a result, I'm very disappointed because I'm probably ignoring messages that I shouldn't be ignoring.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, listen to the episode if you haven't listened to it. If you're like Moz and have had problems with recruiters in the past, I understand that. I've had 2 recruiters that I've worked with. Actually, I take it back. I've only had 1 recruiter in the past that I've worked with, and this was in 1996. And I didn't feel slimy after working with the guy. And Erin will... She is not a used car salesperson. I'll put it that way. Well,
Isn't that a similar sentiment that engineers have about managers, right?
I think so.
I bet you now that if we make some kind of random question, 1,000 people will respond to a simple question, do you like managers? They will say no. And I share that feeling, and yet I worked with amazing managers. Kind of like... It's,
right. It's bad. So Jivan's got a good question here. How do I feel about being ghosted? If you listen to the episode, I go into that in depth. Ghosting, and Erin goes off on the people that do the ghosting. As in Erin's way of going off on people, Erin goes off on them. Erin is just a very polite person. Ghosting is where you've gone through the interview process and then crickets. You don't hear anything back from anybody.
Never. I will never. I have a couple of companies like that. No.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you've had a single interview and you don't hear anything back. I mean, that's still bad, but it's not a big deal. Where it's really bad is you've been through 2, 3, 4 interviews and then nothing. That's where it's like, yeah, and as he says here, it happens all the time. And it's true. It does happen all the time.
I make no distinction. 1 or 5 interviews, it's so easy to send email. We're sorry, but you're not a good fit. It's so easy. There is no excuse.
Yeah, or the line that we used in the podcast was, we've decided to go in a different direction, which is...
Yeah, do you want to work with a company that changes direction every third day? Because that's the message that they're giving with that answer, yeah.
Yeah, he says here, so you end up ghosting the recruiter as well. Well, that's Victor's strategy on sometimes. Especially if they've been jerks, right? I mean, it's... Yeah. Or you know, whatever.
Well, one thing that I think that many companies do not yet understand is that there is such a there is so much bigger demand than offer for software engineers, especially with experience, is that the side's reversed. It's you need to convince me why I should join your company, not the other way around. That's how it is. I sound like a jerk now, right? But when I say
no, I don't
you need to convince me, but that's the situation, right?
Yeah.
And you don't convince people with mass emails.
I think Erin called it out. This is an employee's market, or this is a worker's market, not a company market, unlike prior to 2 years ago. So
exactly,
it's a cycle. Okay, one piece of news I saw is Okteto got 15 in Series A.
Well done, Ramiro and company.
Very, very cool.
They deserve it. They really deserve it.
Lots of big names in the round. Names, at least from a company perspective, and some of them real names. I will be honest, it's been so long since we've even talked about them, I don't remember what their tooling is. Do you remember? To where you can explain it in 10 seconds or less?
What Okteto is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a remote development environment.
Oh, okay.
You click a button, you have everything you need to develop an application. It's brilliant.
So it's beyond Codespaces or Gitpod.
No, not
right.
Click a button, execute a command. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, was that the Dev CLI? Was that Dev?
I can't remember
what it is.
now. My brain got
It's been a
frozen,
while.
Yeah.
But anyway, they got 15. That's great. And we're speaking about hiring. They are hiring as well. Fully remote, don't even have an office. So.
Well, as you said, well done.
Yep. I want to go back to what Moz has here. Recruiters only share jobs that make more profit. They don't care about the employee at all. That is not Erin. That is the staffing model, and Erin doesn't do staffing. So this is...
No, like with almost every segment of our industry. There is a model where you earn money by quantity, and there is a model where you earn money by quality, right? Just as there are companies who prefer 500 developers paid cheaply over 50 that are good, the same thing for recruiters or any other group.
Yeah. So let's move on to Dockershim. 124 is getting close, which means Dockershim is going to be gone.
Yeah.
If people are just now finding out about this, they've been living under a rock. Well, if people are finding out about this and they're the Kubernetes administrator, they've been living under a rock.
Yeah. I mean, this story, the whole story about Dockershim, I actually have a bit of blame to throw at Mirantis. I mean, I think that it's great that they continue kind of to keep it alive somehow, but they're actually effectively postponing, giving false hope to people. And everybody, get rid of Docker in your Kubernetes clusters. That's the only path.
Yep, and this goes into it. Again, this is just an updated post of what's been here all along. But they go deeply into it about, there's basically two. There's more. There's Containerd and Cryo. Those are the two big ones. And there's others, but if you're the one in charge of running the cluster, and this is now catching you off guard, then get to work.
You're living under the rock. That's what.
Yeah.
In a cave.
And can you have a hug? Yes. We're still giving hugs as requested. If it's this late in the game for you, yeah, you're going to need a hug. That's what it's going to be. Whew. Chaosmesh, which is one I have never heard of, which is sort of weird. Chaosmesh is moved up to Incubator out of Sandbox. How we missed this, I don't know. Did you know about them? I mean, we knew about the ones that came from OpenEBS. Who was that?
Chaos Toolkit, you mean?
Chaos,
or
no.
the other one?
The other one I'm drawing a blank on. Chaos Native. No?
Yeah. No, that's the company behind Chaos Toolkit, I think. My brain stopped now.
Why don't I remember this? It's Chaos Native. Oh, that's not the right one. Who is
Litmus or Gremlin.
Litmus Q.
Yeah, Litmus
or
Gremlin.
Chaos. Yes. Okay. Anyway. So Chaosmesh has been bumped to Incubator. And
nice.
It looks pretty interesting. What's interesting here is Stress Chaos, DNS Chaos, JVM Chaos, which sort of caught my eye. And then two specific ones on providers, HTTP Chaos.
Nice. I mean, I haven't used it yet. I know of its existence. It's in my to-do list, but I haven't used it yet. So, but it makes. I'm assuming that it's very tied to service meshes, and if that's the case, it makes perfect sense because most of the chaos engineering, at least within Kubernetes, goes through mesh.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on from there. We spoke about Okteto just a few moments ago. This is not Okteto, but Codespaces for largest repositories just got faster. I was thinking, oh, this is great. And then I read the subhead. The ability to pre-build Codespaces is now entering public beta. Okay, GitHub, thumbs up. Gitpod, you did that how many years ago now?
Yeah.
Hey, I believe in competition, and having GitHub and Gitpod, I think this is great. It's
I mean it's a tough competition. It's tough to go against GitHub, but I hope that Gitpod established itself enough of a name to be able to actually do that.
Yeah. I know. But anyway, that's all that this really is about is pre-builds, which when I read it, it was like, oh, it's pre-builds. Next. But it's important because especially for repos that are large, anything helps. It's measurable. At least I know from the Git pod perspective.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of Achilles. That's something that they repeatedly make as a mistake. Until now they didn't have pre-built environments, which sounds silly in retrospective. The same way as GitHub Actions. When you use certain actions that need certain tools, those tools are in most of the cases are installed when the action starts, which is such a waste of time. And it's exactly the same problem. It's almost like negating the reasons for having containers in the first place.
Yeah. But anyway, it's there now. If you're using Codespaces, public beta, go have fun with it. I'm still like 32 cores, 64 gig of RAM. That's roughly the same size that Gitpod uses as well. That's just insane to me. That I could do all my development, if I wanted to, on my phone or on a Chromebook. By the way, I did see that Chrome OS now has a new version that is meant to run on non-Chromebooks.
Okay.
So my 11-year-old MacBook Air might get some nice. I mean, I can run what am I? I think it's a High Sierra as far as I can go with that one. But I might end up booting that out just off a thumb drive and see what happens. I can't remember, but there's a special name for it. I don't remember what it is. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for the next one?
Go.
The Secure Software Factory. Patrick, if you're watching or listening, you need to pay attention if you haven't seen it yet. So what this is a prototype implementation of the Secure Software Factory reference arc, which is based on CNCF's blah, blah, blah. So secure by default, salsa ready, simple and fast. One command to deploy it all. So at least they're using make. So you've got the quick start. It'll have pipelines and chains from Tecton. And the real quick start, actually, wait, where was it? But what's interesting here is
so it's kind of like, I'm trying to guess now, it's kind of Tecton this and Tecton that combined with a few other things, right?
Yes. Okay, here we go. It's built with Kyverno, Kubernetes, Tecton pipelines, Tecton change, and Spire, and the tooling is Cosine and SGET, Crane, Q, Make, and Raycore. So basically everything from ChainGuard, because ChainGuard's also using Q in some of their stuff. So this is considered to be secure.
Yeah, nice. But now I'm questioning kind of like, that effectively means that it's aiming for the companies who are starting today. Right? Because, I always have trouble when I have a platform with many, many different tools. It's enough that I already invested in one different tool in the tool chain to break it, right? Like this would exclude companies who already use Kubernetes with OPA, right?
Yeah, probably. But if I can stand this up and test it out, completely isolated, right? I can at least see, okay, is it worth me changing how I'm doing today?
And it's good choices, really good choices. So yeah.
Standards. So the links, by the way, links for everything, I haven't said this yet today, are down in the description, or will be later today or maybe tomorrow, depends on when I get to it. So this is a reference implementation of said paper.
Nice.
And a single command to deploy it all.
Very nice.
All right. I want to get into a couple of tools. We get asked this question. In fact, we were asked this question yesterday on the live stream over on Devops Toolkit of how do I become an SRE, or how do I get experience as a developer, blah, blah, blah. So what this is, and I haven't signed up for it yet. So if you're willing to do it live, I'm going to sign up for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Here, let's answer Maz's question first before we go on. Never used Tecton. Do you think I should invest some time in learning it? Maybe. It's the lowest Lego block that you can use, right?
Yeah. I have
That's-
grievances against Tecton as being end user tool, but learning it is not a waste.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so you're ready to try this.
Mm-hmm.
Building verifiable experience through open source. So there's an article, which I haven't read the article. So you let your code speak for you. Okay, and then you keep scrolling. This UI sort of freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so no merge, no gain. Level up as a software creator by creating new content in the open source network. Okay, whatever. So you'll create your curriculum, find your community, pick your good first issues. Doesn't this feel like just the right process to go through?
That's how all people who are studying right now, just finished studying, should start. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's try it out. All right, so I'm going to sign up. I haven't done this yet. So let's see what happens.
Okay.
Wants access to my account. Sure. Okay, we're doing this like really live. So I may end up... You're being redirected back. Okay, sure. Why not? Okay. So nothing's getting exposed here. That's good. All right. So there's my... Sure, why not? Yeah, you see them both. All right. So I'm going to use my real name. Okay. This panel lets you inspect the OSS metadata associated with your GitHub account. Okay, that's scary. Pre-populated portfolio, and this chart maps your interest in open source. Okay, and finish the tour. All right, so it's basically slurped in everything from wherever. 130 stars, blah, blah, blah. So I can add content, I can add a repo, change master, there's a bunch of open source stuff. Okay, I don't know.
I'm not sure whether... I think that the process that they describe makes a lot of sense. Kind of like pick a project, define what you're interested in, pick a project, contribute, right? Now I'm a bit less convinced about this interface. Is this kind of like a
I'm
virtual
wondering
CV
if it's
something?
Well, I'm wondering if I'm wondering since I already have so much stuff here that it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah. It reminds me of, those sites in 90s that managed to cramp everything.
Yeah.
The only thing missing, okay, so here is a complaint. I just realized what is missing here. Animated GIFs. Animated GIFs are missing.
Maybe, but they do have NFT here. So I'm going to click on this. I want to see what this is. So add a NFT. All right, come on. Let's see what happens. We're doing this live. It's just sitting there spinning. The decentralized nature of the web isn't always decentralized. Okay. This is pretty funny. Is this the new MySpace? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Could be. All right. So I'll poke around on it later, but that's we'll see. I think it's just because I don't know what because. What is this about? So it pulled that
There
in.
you are.
Maybe. Yeah, it's probably location.
Yeah. Now we know where he lives.
All you had to do is look at GitHub and you know exactly where I live, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, anyway. I think there's something here. I just don't know that it's... Yeah, that's funny. Where's Tom? Do you remember Tom from MySpace?
Yeah.
Maybe click explore?
Yeah, the top right.
Yeah, let's try that. Okay. So let them know, okay, the next step. It'll broadcast, use the interfaces, finish tour. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. So I am interested in, thanks Super for that. Should have just done that before. Okay. So let's say CI/CD let's say container orchestration. Let's say Spring Boot because I do some of that.
Put some language. Put Java.
Oh,
there
language.
or
Thank
whatever,
you.
Something.
Yeah, I'll put. There's Java. There's Shell.
Julia, be brave.
I'll put Julia. Sure, why not? And let's put Go on there just for grins. I'll put TypeScript too. Oh, already have 4 languages.
That's enough.
Okay. Show me places to contribute. Okay. Oh, I can contribute directly to Go. All right. I can do that. TypeScript from Microsoft. Flutter. By the way, I saw Microsoft submitted something to Flutter today for foldables.
No, it's a bit too obvious, too simple, to be honest. Kind of, hey, you said Go, therefore you should contribute to Go.
Yeah, but, okay, so most good first issues recently updated. Oh, okay. So Teleport. We know who Teleport is. Let's go here. Let's see what it's about. So, oh, that's actually interesting. Don't know what that's about. Okay, there's issues. Prepare high priority. A good starter. Okay, this is actually pretty cool.
That's nice. That's very nice.
Okay, so we were throwing him under the bus due to my inability to know how to click a button. So it's a little bit less
nice.
now.
No, this is nice. This is really nice.
Yeah, Java applets are missing, yes. And that's a good thing, actually. So might be worth poking and prodding on a little bit later. But, all right. Moving on from that, Mirror-D, or mirrored. I don't know how it should be said. And they don't tell us. It's a VS Code extension that lets you mirror traffic from your Kubernetes cluster into your IDE.
Yeah, it's similar to Code Zero.
Think so?
Just in Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
Because I kind of like, many are focused in mirroring traffic or doing something from your local, going from your local development to a Kubernetes cluster. The other way around is just as interesting, and I think that not many do it.
Okay. Oh, it only works with Container-D, going back to our earlier statements today about Dockershim. More support for more runtimes will be added if there's demand.
No need. Container-D is enough.
Well, Cryo would be okay, right?
Okay, Cryo. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, do those two, and that should cover most everybody for the next 12 months, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Mirror-D, or mirrored. I don't know what to call it. Sturdy. I don't know how to feel about this. It's an open source coding platform that would go beyond an IDE. It's a coding platform that eliminates the overhead of versioning while maintaining compatibility, with Git. Now, why I thought this was interesting is it's being backed by Y Combinator. Doesn't this look familiar? You have an idea, you do a git pull, you do a feature branch, you write the code, you do a git add, a git commit, a push, create the pull request, repeat. What this does is it gets rid of all that.
Okay. Is there an example or something?
There is a bit of a visualization, which is hard to see the way I'm zoomed in. So basically, as you code, this thing is watching. This application is watching. And the way they're positioning it is think ship this code to production instead of create a branch stage file. It's almost like low code, but not low code.
Yeah, so probably in the background is doing git pull, git push, git commit, blah, 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 right?
It's actually not. And that's the thing. You, as a team, all work within Sturdy.
Okay, so your work is, okay.
So this is a service. However...
But it does end up in Git at the end, or no?
Correct. It does. So the short of it is they've got, where is it? They have it in the cloud, but then you can also run it by yourself. So you can run your own instance and have people connect to that instance. I don't know
still
how I
not
feel.
100% sure what it is. I need to figure it. I need to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, they go
I'm
through
still
these
not
five.
sure I understand.
So it's using, okay, so this was the one that made sense to me the most. Sturdy utilizes load level Git data structures, which means your code is stored in a compatible format. It's not Git, but it's in the same structure. Use Sturdy together with GitHub and benefit from a leveraged workflow, whatever that means. Well, that's the question here is what is the back end? This is the back end. It's like Git, but not Git. It feels like a distributed.
Yeah, but something kind of,
I
if
don't
I
know.
understand right, use Sturdy together with GitHub. It's probably something kind of intermediary between you and GitHub at the end of the day, right?
Yes, it's a layer. I'm just going by this. It utilizes low-level Git data structures, right? So it feels like it's bypassing what we're used to with Git and just getting down to the bottom of it. That's what it feels like. Down to the... Yeah, I don't know if it's S3. I just don't know. I don't know how it's working. Well, here's the thing, though, is if I'm running it locally, it appears to be just stored locally wherever you're running it.
Be local in a container until a container.
In the container, well, it's where the volume is, right? So it's. I have not downloaded this yet because I have had too many other things on my plate this week. But I'm just curious what this is like.
I'm really curious. I still have no idea what it is, but I'm curious to find out.
Now, for the cloud, there is a free version. Unlimited Codespaces, Codebases, and Workspaces, self-hosted or in the cloud, up to 10 users. Sturdy for GitHub is included in CI/CD, whatever that means. And then $30 per user per month for the...
That's very fair. Kind of assuming that this is something that people should be using.
Yeah.
Hey, 10 users can work together for free. You have more than 10 users, pay something. Please.
Pay something. Yeah. I think that's very... I'm surprised it's actually 10. I would have expected maybe 3. Right? 3 would have even been okay. 2's not enough, but 3 is good. Anyway, Sturdy. 2 things about credentials. I saw this thing called Leapp, and it's open source. And it gives you the ability to manage your credentials. I'm going to zoom this down one more. Within a desktop app. I'm not sure exactly. Yes.
It's kind of like LastPass for cloud, right?
That's what it feels like. But okay.
But then again, no, wait. If I want to go to let's say AWS console in a browser, I already have LastPass for that, right?
Right. So this is actually what's
credentials for my tools, like command line and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this is
profiles.
Well, okay. So these are profiles, right? This is at least a session. I can see this has administrator access, billing, whatever. So these are the different providers. I'm not sure. I mean, which is why we're going to go to this next one here pretty quick. This is open source, so if you want to try it out, sure, go ahead. They support these 3. 4, excuse me, I can't count today. 4. You connect. It'll generate good grief. Secure short-lived credentials for you. All sensitive data is stored in your local system vault. And the credentials are cleaned up on every session stop. And then you just do whatever it is that you're doing.
If I understand what that is, the previous one, that makes a lot of sense. It's as if it creates a temporary credentials based on my real credentials so that I don't use my real credentials and avoid getting emails from GitHub how my credentials got pushed to Git repository one more time.
Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, it's open source, it's a UI. But at the same time this week, I also saw Teller. And Teller is a command line for secrets. And to me, this feels very much like you can add this into your code and you can reference whatever it is, right? So this Teller YAML is a specific file format for that. But then you can specify where the credentials live. So the way I understand it is you can integrate with all of these secret providers just by defining it within a YAML file. So like this case, if I'm referencing, let's just go with Vault. Give it a project, give it the ops. Here's the provider I'm using, Vault. The environment is, okay, this is going to be the environment variable that I'm going to use, and here's where it is within Vault.
Okay.
Right, or Google Secret Manager. Here's where it is in Google Secret Manager, doing this provider.
Okay.
I'm still not, again, much like what I saw with Leapp, I'm still scratching my head a little bit.
I still don't understand because kind of like I need to have admin access. I need to have access to Vault to get access from Vault.
Correct.
Kind of like you need to have credentials to get credentials.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but yes. Now, the other thing, too, is ignoring all these other things, it also manages env files, .env files.
This is curious. You know what kind of like one is missing there?
What?
So there are like etcd. I don't know how many people get credentials from etcd and what's not, but where is Azure?
Oh, yeah, it's not there.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. But it is fully open source. So if you wanted to check that one out. Well, as well as Leapp is. So they go at it. So the use case for this is a little different than what you would use Leapp for, but still two different things. All right. Here's something that is not free at all. Does this look like your desktop ever?
I don't think I ever saw my desktop, except maybe when I opened the machine for the first time. I don't use desktop. I don't.
Okay. So what this thing does for you, and this is just an example, it'll go through and save all the windows so you can clear out your desktop. This isn't desktop. This isn't cleaning up your desktop. I'm talking about all the windows that you have open on your desktop. It will save off all of the windows, so now you can restore back.
Okay.
The workspace. I said the wrong thing, but workspace. This is launched this week. It's $12 US for another 2 days at the time we're doing this live. And then you can click on that and you say, oh, I want to restore that session, and bang, all those windows now come back. It's not just, it's sort of like restoring tabs within a browser, except this is your whole workspace.
Yeah. So it's kind of to me, it's confusing because, going to the desktop and then going back, there is a shortcut, whichever it is, like in Mac at least.
Yeah.
But I guess the value here is, I'm guessing that you can store multiple combinations of kind of like 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And then restore one of them. That would be useful. Kind of like, I don't know, video editing and then browsing and then coding, for example, right?
Yep.
That would be nice.
Yep. So if I said this one on that date, I would say, oh, okay, boom, go off. I don't know if you can name them or not, but it just runs as a tray item.
I want that.
Yeah.
$12.
Yeah. It's called It's called Later, Later, and it's getlater.app. And it's just a solo shop person that wrote this, and
yeah. And I assume it's kind of one-time fee, right?
Yeah, just one-time fee.
Nice.
$12 US, going up to 20 in another 2 days. So
yeah,
I don't know if now, here's the things it'll do. Save battery, okay, whatever, right? Meet with confidence, a quick one click and everything's gone, right? That's nice. Taking a break, okay, you should do that anyway. Scheduling apps. So reopen apps after a few minutes or several hours to get you back in the flow. So if you were combining this with, I don't know, some sort of Pomodoro technique to where, okay, I click that and you know that, okay, bring it all back up in 10 minutes because I don't even want to bother to restore. I just want to, in 10 minutes, just bring it back.
Nice.
I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Last tool for the day is Responsively, open source project. I'd never heard of this before. I was talking to one of the guys I work with. It's like, oh, this is like some other paid product. This is open source. So I try to stay as far away from front end as possible. But listen to my daughter, who is a graphic designer and web designer, so you give it a URL and then you say, okay, what devices do I want loaded up? And then it'll load up all those different resolutions for you within this one browser, if you will.
Sounds nice.
I'll tell you what, I did this with a couple of apps this week that I was working through. Well, I'll say, I was working with Jenkins this week and figured, okay, let me load up, okay, what does it look like in desktop? Because I was looking at one of the weeklies. Well, okay, what does it look like in desktop? What does it look like in a big desktop, like, whatever the number was I was using? And then what does it look like on an iPhone, whatever it was that I picked? I don't even remember now. I was like, oh, nice. It's all right there. And so I could I could log in, and then as I logged in, all the screens refreshed to track what I was doing. It was cool.
Really nice. 15,000 stars is good figure.
Where'd you see that? Oh, up here, 15. Yep.
Up here.
Yep. Now, the one thing I did see is that its last release was sometime last year. I didn't dig through the repo a whole lot, but you can build profiles. You can one-click screenshot. Hot loading supported, which was basically what I was doing. There's a browser extension to help make it work even better. So
cool.
That's Responsively. And now Datree. Or Datree. How do they say it? Did you ever find out?
No. No, I have no idea. Datree. I'm calling it Datree. I don't know whether that's how it should be called or not.
Okay, before we go into that here, because I was just completely ignoring all the comments. Forgive me. What's the advantage over Windows or Linux virtual desktops? 0. It's the same thing. It's if you're not used to using those virtual desktops, this is that for you, I think. Hard to know the value of something without knowing how difficult it is to implement, though. Yeah, I agree. Tiling manager, yep. All those things.
Yeah.
And this is funny too. Or a crazy modern boss key. Yeah, this is the. You need to have a physical button to where you can just punch the button and then it does the cleanup for you. RedSep says Chrome has something similar built into Inspect, going back to Responsively. I believe that's true. In fact, I know that is true. But again, I try to stay out of the front end as much as I can. Okay, let's go back to Datree. Sorry. I apologize to everybody because I got focused on trying to finish. It's been one of those weeks.
There's not much to to say about it. It's a nice tool that helps you write better manifests, right? It's not a category like Kyverno or OPA that prevents people from applying things that they shouldn't be applying, even though you could use it, but it's really helpful to write manifests the right way. And I especially like the part that actually you can create your own policies. I think that's where many of the tools fail, hey, you remember that from good old days like SonarQube, where you just install 5,000 policies and so that everybody can ignore them all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think that I like it, especially if somebody spends some time and create policies that make sense for that organization.
Yep. I've never really understood why I do understand. I don't understand why you would just have the industry standard policies and just do just those and not amend those to include more or potentially pull out a couple that you might not want.
Yeah, and especially pull out. At the end of the day, you just want to do the right thing, and if there is too much noise, you're going to skip doing the right thing because of that noise. It's as easy as that. Yeah. I don't know whether that was happening in your case, but I certainly remember in my case when those things became popular, SonarQube, And then we all started writing comments on every single function, and those comments were literally saying comment. Because kind of it became mandatory to write comments, no matter whether it makes sense or it doesn't, to write it. Now, I'm not advocating not to write comments, or to write comments, that would be a longer story. But I spent many, many, many hours trying to fake the system because it was stupid.
And it wasn't hard to do, was it?
No.
It was tedious, but it wasn't hard.
Very productive person, you get objective, kind of like, hey, we have 1,705 something violations in Sonar Cube, and we have objective in this quarter, we're going to reduce it by 20%. And we did it. We fulfilled those objectives every single time, very successfully.
Even though those objectives had no purpose.
No purpose. My favorite story for my young days is I worked in a consulting company. A customer says, I want you to do a special project for us to get test coverage to 80%. And we said, 80%? Are you kidding us? 95. And we did it. There was not a single assert. Not a single assert. But we did 95% of the coverage. We got money. Customer was very happy because we fulfilled the objective. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm not muted now. You created 95% test coverage.
Yes.
And every one of the tests were empty.
Yeah. Because the goal was not really to write good tests that make sense. The goal was to create test coverage. They wanted test coverage. We did test coverage. That's how consulting works. You do exactly what you're told. You don't do what makes sense.
I'm not disagreeing
if
with
you
you. If
ask for something and you get something, why would you complain? You need another project if you change your mind, man.
Well, it's like, oh, you wanted that to work? Well, that'll be a change order. Right? You actually want it to actually do.
Yeah. But test coverage is one of the most ridiculous things that everybody was focused on in the past. I don't know how important that is today, right? With completely forgetting that the objective is to have good tests that serve a purpose.
Yeah,
I prefer 20%. Yeah. 20% test coverage with tests that actually I can rely on and that tell me that something is broken. Instead of 100% test coverage with no assets. I prefer the first option. I mean, when I say no assets, that's extreme. But what is not extreme is how common is for companies to write tests just to fulfill this test coverage, and tests are simply silly. Kind of, input should be true. And then you say assets true. Kind of like, what does that mean? How does that help anybody? Right?
I know. It's, and I'll go back to what Red's up here. Yeah, I just upgraded Sonar Cube today. Yeah. And Super says, Victor is making bank without working. Yeah, that's...
No, we worked to, we've had to write all that with all those tests.
All the plumbing?
All the tests. Now we didn't write answers. But hey, and also, consulting is about being cheaper than competition. So you always work, right? Customers always demand something that is cheaper than it should be in less time than it could be done. That's the game. But my career, big part of my career was actually very similar to that. I always focus, how can I do the stupid work in a way that is as fast as possible so that I can actually spend the rest of my time on something that is actually valuable. That's how you learn stuff. That's how you do good things.
Yeah. These are conversations I had 20 plus years ago. And it's like...
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about 20 or plus years ago. Yeah.
As the way Chris puts it here, acceptance criteria didn't include legit test, just coverage.
No, we didn't.
That's just... I mean, it's pretty easy for me to like not be able to say any words, but this one just sort of takes it over the edge. I can't imagine doing that.
Realistically, really, and I hope that I will not offend anybody. Whole consulting business is in large part based on faking it.
Like the days back in the late 90s to where Anderson would pull up with a bus of recent college graduates and dump them out. It's like, okay, you're here for the next 9 months. Go figure it out.
Exactly.
And they're being billed out at $350, $400, $500 an hour. And have had zero experience in life, much less business life. The companies paid it because it was Anderson, which became Accenture.
What can you
I don't know. Okay, Red Sub has a question. Ever heard of Tessie? You heard of Tessie?
No.
I'm looking it up over off the side. I'm not pulling it up live. What?
I'm laughing on the next comment because I just remember that video. That's so brilliant.
Oh, this, yeah, this, if you don't know what this video is, you need to go watch this video. Here, I'm going to share this, and then Red Seb, tell me if this is it or not. This is what I find when I find Tessie. Is this, whoops, rats. Is this it? Give me all the cookies. I don't care. Automated testing of embedded software. Is this it? I know it takes a few minutes. But yeah, I want green lines. I want red lines, but it needs to be red, not green.
Yeah.
I can't even remember it just because it's so absurd.
It needs to be perpendicular and all that stuff. Yeah.
UI clicky. Most testing tools are very clicky. Well, have been. I've been using, I don't hate Selenium. I dislike it, but I don't hate it. But I've been using Playwright, which I've been pretty happy with. It doesn't do as much as Selenium. I will give it that. You can't do everything, but you can do some really nice things simply. And the code's pretty straightforward to write. So, yeah, I cannot imagine, number one, having to run Windows on a daily basis. And number two, to have to live within a UI to do anything. Excuse me, to do everything. I just... I'm flashing back right now to all sorts of UI tools that I had to use back in the late 90s.
Windows 11, 3.11 days, right? That's how this looks like.
Yeah, probably.
This might be Eclipse, actually.
That is Eclipse because you can see the tabs. You see the rounding tabs here? Yeah, this is all... Now, I'll tell you what. Eclipse was way ahead of its time. And how things could be built with it.
Actually, it wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, but it was way ahead of its time in terms that it was open source, a lot of contributions, moving very, very fast.
Yes.
But I remember when I was moved from VS Code at that time, sorry, not VS Code, from VS, Visual Studio, to Eclipse, it was a punishment.
Yeah, I know. But I fortunately have never had to work with a Microsoft tool in my life. A paid Microsoft tool. VS Code is Microsoft, I get it, but I've never had to.
At the time, and this is long time ago, when I was working with .NET and before .NET, whatever there was, Microsoft, I don't know today, really, I'm not following it much, but at that time, absolutely amazing. The amount of effort and love they were putting into making developers be good at their job was absolutely amazing, really. At that time, I don't know today, really, this is a long time ago, but you could feel love and investment for developers.
Yeah, especially when all they had to do to deploy to production was right-click deploy.
Those were different times, man.
Those are still happening today, by the way. Shouldn't be, but they are. Okay. Anyway, okay. So I forgot to. Again, it's just I
Next
hadn't-
week.
No, next
No.
week we need to talk about next week because next week we're not going to be here. I'm glad you just said that
Yeah.
because you're in
I
Belgrade.
will be traveling Belgrade. Yeah.
So next Friday, no show, or at least that's the plan at this point. I've thought about some ideas I haven't talked to you about, but I'm just thinking no show because it'll work out because that means we won't have a DevOps Toolkit on Thursday, and then we won't have this on Friday, so I can actually maybe have a nice sit-down lunch with my wife. I don't know. I could do that.
Exactly.
We'll
see.
Yeah, but we won't be here next Friday, at least at this point. Things could change. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. And if I do decide to do something, we'll put it on Twitter and all the other places. But I don't think we will.
Yeah.
And what?
No, I'm checking the calendar.
Checking calendar. Because it is next Friday that you're gone, right?
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm gone next Friday. Yeah. I don't know yet the schedule over there, but yes.
Yeah. So it could happen, but realistically, it's not going to. So anyway, for everybody that's been here with us live today, thanks for hanging out with us live. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And I wanted to say one more thing, and I forgot what it was. Maybe it was the next Friday thing. I think that's it. Everybody ready to go home? Call it a day? Call it a weekend?
Oh, I have a meeting starting now.
Yeah, and I do too. In 3 minutes, in 15 seconds. So let's call it a day. So thanks, everybody. We will talk to you again in planned 2 weeks. Right. Thanks.